Princess Diana passed away more than 25 years ago, yet the mysterious circumstances surrounding her death remain an enigma that continues to haunt the public and even those directly involved. The horrific crash in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel in Paris did not merely take the life of a global icon, it left behind countless unanswered questions. Why was the car carrying Diana speeding so recklessly? Who was really following her that fateful night? And most importantly, was it truly just an accident? For years, conspiracy theories have quietly circulated among the public. Many believe Diana's death was not merely a tragic coincidence, but no one had ever dared to speak the truth until now. In a deeply emotional moment, Prince William, the eldest son who carried the weight of that loss throughout his childhood, broke down in tears as he revealed the identity of the person he believes was truly responsible for driving his mother to a cruel and untimely death. A confession that not only shook the royal family, but also challenged everything the public once believed to be true. Among all the members of the royal family, perhaps none was more beloved than Diana. Not because she was a beautiful princess, nor simply because she was the wife of the heir to the throne, but because she possessed something many royals lack: genuine sincerity, approachability, and deep compassion. She wasn't only present at grand ceremonies, but also in hospitals, orphanages, HIV care centers, and impoverished regions where no one had ever expected a royal to set foot. People loved her for how she listened, for how she touched the lives of the unfortunate without hesitation, for her gentle eyes and her ever-warm smile. She was the people's princess, as Prime Minister Tony Blair once called her, and more than anything, she was a mother. After a tearful and tumultuous marriage with Prince Charles, Diana often found herself in a state of emotional pain, insecurity, and isolation. Yet no matter the circumstances, she always fiercely protected her two sons, William and Harry, with unwavering love. Diana tried to raise her boys in her own way to help them understand what life was like for ordinary people, so they wouldn't grow up as gilded cages on legs. She took them to fast food restaurants, public parks, and on vacations outside the royal schedule, just so they could experience the real world beyond palace walls. These seemingly small acts became cherished memories for William and Harry, etched in their hearts as living proof of a mother's sacred love that nothing could replace. Born as Diana Frances Spencer on July 1, 1961, near Sandringham, England, she became Lady Diana Spencer in 1975 when her father inherited the title of Earl Spencer. Diana was the daughter of Edward John Spencer, Viscount Althorp, and Frances Ruth Burke Roche, who later became known as Lady Frances Shan Kidd. She had two older sisters, Jane Fellows and Sarah McCorquodale, and a younger brother, Charles Spencer, the 9th Earl Spencer. Another brother, John, died shortly after birth, 1 year before Diana was born. Both of Diana's grandmothers, Cynthia Spencer and Ruth Roche, served as ladies-in-waiting to Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. Diana's early life was marked by her parents' turbulent marriage, which ended in divorce when she was still a child. The pressure to produce a male heir contributed to the strain in their relationship before the birth of her younger brother, Charles. After the divorce, Diana's father won custody of the children and later remarried Reine, Countess of Dartmouth, with whom Diana had a strained relationship. She described her childhood as deeply unhappy and very unstable. Diana was educated at Riddlesworth Hall School and later at Westheath School. Although shy, she showed a strong interest in music and dance. After completing her studies at the Institut Alpin Videminet in Switzerland, she moved to London and worked with children, eventually becoming an assistant at the Young England Kindergarten. Her love for children was evident both in her work and in her personal interests. Diana first met Prince Charles in 1907 when he was dating her older sister, Sarah. They reconnected in the summer of 1980 at a mutual friend's home, where Charles began to see her as a potential bride, despite the 13-year age difference. The couple began dating, and their relationship quickly attracted media attention. The public was captivated by the pairing of the reserved prince with a shy young woman who loved fashion and pop culture. Soon after, Diana and Charles became engaged. Only a few months into their relationship, Charles proposed on February 6, 1981, with a unique 18-karat white gold ring featuring a 12-karat oval sapphire surrounded by 14 solitaire diamonds. The ring was inspired by a brooch Prince Albert had designed for Queen Victoria in 1840. The engagement received massive media coverage. In an interview, Diana stated the couple was in love. However, Charles's response, "Whatever in love means," sparked confusion and curiosity. Diana married Charles on July 29, 1981, at St. Paul's Cathedral in a ceremony watched by nearly 1 billion people around the world. She wore a taffeta silk wedding dress embellished with antique lace and 10,000 pearls, designed by David and Elizabeth Emanuel. She also wore the Spencer family tiara, dating back to the 18th century, and a 25-foot-long veil. The wedding was hailed as the wedding of the century. After the lavish wedding, Diana became the Princess of Wales and began her life as a member of the British royal family. At first, she felt overwhelmed by royal duties and constant media scrutiny, but gradually she carved out her own role, becoming known for her charitable work and compassion. She had a special passion for helping the homeless, people with HIV/AIDS, and disadvantaged children. Diana's life was a blend of public admiration and personal challenges as she navigated her royal responsibilities while pursuing her own interests. Death. Everyone who knew Princess Diana, whether directly or indirectly, adored her. Her beauty and sweet nature made people across the globe become royal admirers. But on one fateful day, everything changed. On the night of August 31st, 1997, something terrible happened. Something many will never forget. Princess Diana, beloved by millions worldwide for her kindness and charitable work, died in a car crash in Paris. She was only 36 years old. The accident took the lives of Princess Diana, her boyfriend Dodi Al-Fayed, and their driver, Henri Paul. According to some sources, the crash was the fault of the driver, who was intoxicated and speeding to escape the paparazzi chasing them. Dodi Al-Fayed was the son of a wealthy man, Mohammed Al-Fayed. Dodi had been dating Diana for years after her divorce from Prince Charles. The couple had spent the evening together and were trying to escape the relentless attention that followed them that night. Diana and Dodi were staying at the Ritz Hotel in Paris, and as usual, paparazzi were attempting to photograph the couple. Earlier in the day, they had enjoyed time together on a yacht, relaxing along the French Riviera. But upon returning to Paris, they were followed again. The constant attention from photographers had made their lives embarrassingly difficult. The story behind her death. Perhaps in modern history, few accidents have been as tragic or sparked as many questions as the death of Princess Diana. Her final night began with a late dinner at the Ritz Paris, owned by Dodi Fayed's father. Just hours later, a black Mercedes sped out of the Pont de l'Alma tunnel, chased by flashing lights from paparazzi in pursuit. It was said that driver Henri Paul had consumed alcohol and sedatives, yet hotel security footage showed him walking steadily. The question arises, why would a seasoned hotel security head risk the lives of the most famous woman on earth just to evade a few photographers? Many independent investigators believe the alarming speed recorded on the dashboard was not the sole cause, but rather the result of a more complex orchestration, one possibly rooted in forces that did not want Diana and Dodi's relationship to progress. Mohammed Al-Fayed, a grieving father, once asserted that the British royal family feared an interracial, interfaith marriage could damage the nation's image. However, official inquiries by both British and French authorities in 1999 and again in 2008 concluded the incident was a simple accident. Still, the Operation Paget file released by the Metropolitan Police left puzzling gaps, particularly the section concerning a white Fiat Uno believed to have clipped the Mercedes before both cars entered the tunnel. The Fiat's driver was never identified, and the white paint residue on the royal vehicle mysteriously vanished from the evidence storage room just before an audit. The theory of a carefully orchestrated MI6 assassination gained traction when a former spy named Richard Tomlinson claimed he had seen a memo outlining plans to engineer a crash in a narrow tunnel eerily similar to Pont de l'Alma. Yet his testimony was dismissed due to a lack of physical evidence. Conspiracy supporters counter that it is the disappearance of key evidence that constitutes the real clue. They point to a critical security camera feed at the tunnel entrance that conveniently suffered a technical error, ceasing recording at the precise moment of the crash. They also cite that Diana had told her lawyer she feared someone would tamper with her car's brakes and that she had written a letter to her former butler, Paul Burrell, warning, in chillingly prophetic terms, that a car accident would end her life. Investigators dismissed the legal value of the letter, calling it vague anxiety. But how could such an eerily accurate premonition be mere coincidence? Meanwhile, the coroner's office revealed that Diana's seatbelt had not been fastened properly, a factor directly contributing to her death. However, would a woman so protective of her children's safety be so careless? Some media analysts suggest that blaming Diana for not wearing a seatbelt conveniently diverts public attention from investigative flaws. The deeper one digs, the more entangled the web of interest surrounding Diana becomes, from media corporations exploiting her image, to political players wanting to ease royal divorce scandals, to extremist groups opposing a Muslim-Christian relationship. The first three witnesses at the crash scene, Dr. Frederic Mailles, photographer Romuald Rat, and taxi driver Georges Darman, initially testified they did not see the tunnel swarmed by paparazzi, contrary to media reports. In fact, they described the scene as oddly empty. But two of them later retracted their statements, plunging the narrative back into ambiguity. Over 2 decades, 4 investigations, and thousands of pages of documentation. And yet the official conclusion remains an accident. Still, when millions of bouquets continue to be laid outside Kensington Palace on each anniversary, when audiences worldwide still pore over unpublished diary entries, when William and Harry in turn expressed doubts about the integrity of the case files, the story behind Diana's death lingers like a glowing ember beneath thick ash, needing only a gust of truth to ignite and burn away the polished facade of power. Perhaps that is why every new lead, however small, is pounced upon by the public and the press alike. People don't just want to know who made the Mercedes speed out of control. They want to know who silenced the compassionate heart of the people's princess. For when Diana died, the world didn't just lose a fashion icon. It lost a voice that spoke out against prejudice and injustice. It lost a hand that reached out to AIDS patients when the world still recoiled in stigma. That loss, combined with lingering questions, has turned the accident into a scar that will never heal in the memory of Britain and the global community. And until the full truth is revealed, the story behind Diana's death will continue to live on, to haunt, and to drive truth seekers everywhere in their unending search for answers. Many people were dissatisfied with the explanation that the crash was simply an accident. Mohammed Al-Fayed, the father of Dodi Al-Fayed, was a strong proponent of conspiracy theories. He claimed that Diana and Dodi were assassinated by British intelligence, possibly on the orders of Prince Philip, to prevent Diana from marrying a Muslim and having a child with him. Al-Fayed stated that Diana was pregnant and the couple was about to get engaged. Some believed that Henri Paul, the driver, was an agent of British or French intelligence, and that his drunken state was exaggerated or staged. The lack of CCTV footage of the crash and the chaotic circumstances surrounding Diana's death also fueled speculation. There were 16 cameras in the tunnel, but none were working. A popular theory involved the claim of a flash of light before the crash. Several witnesses, including Francois Levestre and American tourist Brian Anderson, reported seeing a flash as Diana's car entered the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. Levestre said he saw the flash in his rearview mirror and suggested it could have blinded the driver. However, inconsistencies in Levestre's account and his 1989 fraud conviction undermined his credibility. Additionally, his wife at the time contradicted his testimony, and other witnesses did not mention any such flash. A detailed reconstruction of the crash found no evidence of a flash and concluded that the car lost control before entering the tunnel. Another theory revolved around Diana's seatbelt. Some believed that her not wearing a seatbelt, despite usually doing so, raised suspicions of sabotage. The time it took for the ambulance to get Diana to the hospital also raised questions. The ambulance took about 26 minutes to reach the hospital, leading some to suspect deliberate delay. Finally, in 2013, a former SAS soldier known as Soldier N claimed that the SAS was involved in staging Diana's death. This claim emerged during the trial of another SAS member. To address these concerns, the UK launched its own investigation, called Operation Paget. The investigation, led by British police, began in 2004, about 7 years after the crash. It aimed to examine all the conspiracy theories that had arisen since Diana's death in 1997. The investigation reviewed all available evidence, including Diana's letter, the events leading up to the crash, and the actions of those involved. In 2006, the findings of Operation Paget were released. The investigation concluded that there was no evidence supporting the conspiracy theories. Like the earlier French investigation, it found that the crash was caused by driver Henri Paul, who had been drinking and was speeding. Operation Paget found no evidence of a plot to kill Princess Diana and concluded that the crash was a tragic accident. Despite these findings, some people continued to believe in the conspiracy theories, pointing to Diana's letter as proof that she feared something terrible would happen to her. The butler reveals all. Princess Diana's former butler, Paul Burrell, also contributed to the public's fascination with her private life after her death in 1997. Burrell revealed many personal details about Diana, providing deeper insight into who she was beyond the public eye. Working closely with her from 1990, Burrell was one of Diana's most trusted staff members. She called him her rock, indicating her heavy reliance on him during her most difficult times. Burrell's revelations shed light on Diana's feelings of loneliness and isolation. Even as one of the most famous women in the world, she often felt she couldn't trust those around her. This sense of isolation contributed to her development of an eating disorder, which she battled while coping with personal and public pressures. Burrell also disclosed details about Diana's troubled marriage to Prince Charles. Although their 1981 wedding was a global event, their marriage was far from perfect. Behind the scenes, Diana faced many challenges, which Burrell shared with the public to provide insight into her private struggles. She knew that Prince Charles had a close relationship with another woman, Camilla Parker Bowles, which caused her great distress. Diana famously said in an interview that there were 3 people in her marriage, referring to Charles, Camilla, and herself. Paul's revelations gave deeper understanding of how deeply this situation affected Diana. She also experienced periods of profound sadness and at times felt overwhelmed by everything happening around her. Diana had deep compassion and empathy, often seeking to help those less fortunate. She frequently did so without cameras or publicity because she genuinely wanted to make a difference. After divorcing Prince Charles, Diana worked to create her own path and find her voice within the limits of royal life. Though it wasn't easy, she was committed to having a positive impact on the world. Burrell admired her resilience and often spoke of how she remained strong even during hard times. Diana's role as a mother was another important aspect of her life that Paul shared. He often spoke of how much Diana loved her sons and tried to protect them from the pressures of royal life. She wanted them to have as normal a childhood as possible, even while growing up in the public eye. Diana took her role as a mother seriously, striving to spend quality time with her boys and ensure their happiness. One touching story Paul shared was how Diana would secretly leave the palace to spend time with William and Harry. Despite her busy schedule and constant public attention, she always made time for her sons, often planning secret trips with Paul's help. After Diana's death in 1990, Paul Burrell wrote a book titled A Royal Duty, published in 2003, where he shared many of these personal stories. The book was controversial, with some believing Paul should not have disclosed such private details about Diana, while others appreciated the deeper insight it provided into her life. Paul defended his decision to write the book, saying he wanted the world to know the truth about Diana's life and challenges. He believed that sharing these stories honored her memory and helped people understand the real person behind the public image. In the book, Paul also discussed the period after Diana's death, describing how difficult it was to cope with losing someone he had been so close to. He felt a responsibility to protect Diana's memory and ensure that the truth about her life was not forgotten. His revelations provided a deeper understanding of Diana, showing that despite her status as a global icon, she was a human being facing struggles like everyone else. Paul's decision to reveal intimate details about Diana's private life highlighted the complicated relationship between the royal family and those who work for them. After the book was published, there was much debate about whether Paul had betrayed Diana's trust by sharing these personal stories. Some members of the royal family were unhappy with the book, and there were even legal issues surrounding some of its content. However, Paul insisted that he wrote the book out of love and respect for Diana, wanting to ensure her true story was told. Despite his good intentions, not everyone received Paul's revelations positively. Some saw his actions as an attempt to profit from his relationship with her. For some, hearing Paul's accounts of her private life felt like reopening an old wound. The media showed great interest in what Paul had to say. Television programs, newspapers, and magazines covered his stories in detail, and people everywhere discussed his revelations. For many, we saw Paul's disclosures seemed to confirm their belief that there was more to Diana's death than had been officially reported. Paul shared stories of Diana expressing fears for her safety. These details led some to wonder if there really was something suspicious behind her death. Because of this, there were renewed calls for further investigation. Some advocacy groups and members of the public began pushing for a review of the evidence, hoping to uncover the full truth about what happened on the night Diana died. But not everyone believed that Paul's stories proved anything. There were those who felt the official investigation had provided the right answers and questioned whether Paul's stories added anything new. These people believed Paul might have exaggerated his closeness to Diana and was creating drama where none existed. This disagreement sparked widespread discussion and debate among the public and in the media. Despite differing opinions, Paul's revelations had a major impact. Princess Diana has always fascinated people, and Paul's stories only added to that interest. His disclosures may have caused some tension within the family because they highlighted issues the royals preferred to keep private. The impact on Diana's sons, Princess Diana's sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, were deeply affected by the public discourse surrounding their mother. They were very young when she passed away and have spent many years coming to terms with their grief. Though time has passed, the public and media interest in the princess has not waned. In recent years, Prince Harry has been open about his struggles, particularly the impact of his mother's death. In his memoir, Spare, published on January 10, 2023, Harry shared personal stories about his life, his relationship with his family, and the events that led him and his wife, Meghan Markle, to step back from royal duties and leave the UK. Spare offers an intimate look into Harry's life, exploring his feelings of being an outsider within his own family and the challenges he faced growing up under the royal spotlight. The title of the book references the phrase that the royal family needs an heir and a spare, emphasizing Harry's sense of not belonging. The book covers a wide range of topics, including Harry's childhood, the profound impact of Princess Diana's death, his experiences in the British military, and his complex relationships with his brother, Prince William, and father, King Charles III. The book also discusses his father's later marriage to Queen Camilla and Harry's own marriage to Meghan Markle, an American actress and non-royal, which marked the beginning of growing tensions. The couple's decision to withdraw from royal duties added further complexity. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, released a statement: "We intend to step back as senior members of the royal family." The release of Spare was highly anticipated and drew immense media attention. The memoir received mixed reactions. Some praised Harry's openness, while others felt it revealed too many personal details. Despite the differing opinions, Spare made history by becoming the fastest-selling nonfiction book of all time. In the summer of 2021, Harry explained that he was writing the memoir not as the prince he was born, but as the man he had become. The Duke of Sussex said in a statement, "I'm writing this not as the prince I was born, but as the man I have become," adding that his story would include highs and lows, mistakes, and lessons learned. He hoped to show that regardless of background, we have more in common than we think, emphasizing the idea that even the wealthy face hardship. In January 2020, The Times reported that Harry had second thoughts about publishing the book after visiting his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, but ultimately decided to proceed. In Spare, Harry addressed and rejected rumors that his biological father was not Charles but one of his mother's lovers, James Hewitt. For decades, there had been speculation that Princess Diana's former lover, James Hewitt, was the father of the 38-year-old, not King Charles III. Harry believed the rumor was partly driven by Major Hewitt's red hair and the tabloid media's thirst for drama. He recalled that his father, Charles, once joked about the rumor surrounding Harry's parentage, which Harry found insensitive. He also described the moment his father told him of his mother's death when he was just 12 years old. Harry revealed that he was horrified by the idea that he and William had to walk behind their mother's coffin. This sentiment was shared by their uncle, Charles Spencer. Harry insisted on joining William in the funeral procession, believing his brother would have done the same if their roles were reversed. For years, Harry believed that his mother had faked her death to escape the press, a belief his brother William also shared. He criticized the official investigation into Diana's death and questioned why the involved paparazzi were not held accountable. Harry and William once considered releasing a joint statement calling for a reopening of the investigation, but they were persuaded not to. During a trip to Paris in 2007, Harry asked his driver to drive through the tunnel where his mother died at the same speed. He later regretted the decision, as it only brought more pain. In an effort to connect with his mother, he admitted to seeking help from a woman who claimed to have psychic abilities. Harry was also candid about his past drug use, revealing that he tried cocaine at age 17 and used magic mushrooms at a party in 2016, leading to hallucinations. Regarding his military service, Harry discussed his time in Afghanistan, where he completed missions that resulted in the deaths of 25 Taliban members. He admitted that he did not see them as people, but as chess pieces on a board, and that killing them brought neither satisfaction nor shame. Harry also discussed his strained relationships with his father, Charles, and stepmother, Camilla. He and William had agreed to accept Camilla into the family as long as Charles did not marry her. However, when Charles decided to wed Camilla, Harry realized that his father was simply following his heart. He accused Camilla of leaking private conversations to the press to boost her public image and claimed that both Charles and Camilla leaked details about his drug use to garner sympathy and enhance their own reputations. Harry also stated that William felt deep guilt for not speaking up about their father's affair with Camilla, which led to feelings of confusion and pain for William. Harry went further, accusing Camilla of playing a role in his mother's death, believing she was a key factor in the breakdown of his parents' marriage. Despite these feelings, Harry acknowledged that his father had found happiness after marrying Camilla and said he wanted them both to be happy, even wondering whether Camilla might be less dangerous when content. In the book, Harry revealed that his role as best man at William's 2011 wedding was not entirely accurate, as James Meade and Thomas Van Straubenzee delivered the speeches at the wedding reception. Harry felt this was the right decision, as he feared he might say something inappropriate. Harry also shared several candid moments leading up to his relationship with Meghan Markle. On their first date, he was on a boat for a race without a toilet, which led to him wetting his pants. He admitted regretting searching for Meghan's sex scenes from the show suits, saying he now wished he had never done it. Harry revealed that during an argument with Meghan, he became so angry that she told him she would not tolerate such behavior and suggested he seek therapy. However, Harry believed his mother had played a role in bringing Meghan into his life. He recounted 2 signs he saw before learning Meghan was pregnant. First, Meghan sang to a group of seals, which he claimed sang back. Second, Meghan took 2 home pregnancy tests and placed them on his nightstand. When both confirmed the pregnancy, he expressed gratitude, hoping his late mother had something to do with the good news. The couple announced their pregnancy to the family at Princess Eugenie's wedding in October 2018. During Meghan's labor, Harry used a canister of laughing gas to stay calm. He also spoke about Meghan's miscarriage in 2020, They left the hospital with the unborn child and buried it in a secret spot under a jacaranda tree. The memoir also detailed a confrontation between Harry and William at Nottingham Cottage in 2019. William, who came to discuss their strained relationship, reportedly criticized Meghan as difficult, rude, and abrasive. Harry rejected these comments, believing they echoed tabloid narratives. During the argument, William allegedly grabbed Harry by the collar, broke his necklace, and knocked him to the floor, where Harry landed on a dog bowl that shattered and injured him. Harry did not retaliate, and William later appeared regretful and apologized. Harry called his therapist after the incident, and Meghan was very upset when she learned what had happened. Harry revealed that his father, Charles, once questioned whether Meghan would continue acting, as they lacked substantial financial resources. Charles supported Harry and Meghan until they left the UK, but he feared Meghan's popularity could eclipse his own. Harry also claimed that Charles and Camilla were uncomfortable with the level of attention William and Kate were receiving. Harry expressed surprise when his government-funded security was withdrawn after stepping down from royal duties, especially since his uncle Andrew, who faced serious allegations, retained his security. He criticized the Sandringham summit, alleging that it was manipulated by royal courtiers, whom he referred to as bees, wasps, and flies, using underhanded tactics to consolidate power. Finally, Harry described a tense meeting with Charles and William after Prince Philip's funeral in April 2021, during which Charles pleaded, "Please, boys, don't make my final years a misery." Harry referred to William as both his beloved brother and his greatest rival. During a walk, William questioned why Harry had not voiced his concerns within the institution earlier and suggested he bring his complaints to the Queen. Although William later told Harry that he loved him and wanted him to be happy, Harry admitted that he did not believe his brother's word. Harry and Meghan should reveal everything in the interview. The revelations surrounding Prince Harry continue to captivate global attention, especially since his decision to step back from royal duties in 2020. The events that followed only added to the intrigue. Although Prince Harry and his wife, the Duchess of Sussex, have left their official roles, they have certainly not stepped out of the spotlight. After the release of the book, a revealing interview offered further insight into the inner workings of the royal family. What did Prince Harry reveal in the interview that he hadn't shared in the book? What was the royal family's response in the interview? Prince Harry discussed a particularly tense meeting with his brother, Prince William, in 2021. Recalling the encounter, Harry described the familiar frown on his brother's face, something he had always noticed during their interactions, and mentioned the notable changes in William's appearance, including his advancing baldness and the fading resemblance to their mother. Harry clarified that his observations were not meant to hurt, but to provide a fuller picture of their relationship and the circumstances they faced growing up. He emphasized that the tension between them had been building for years, long before his wife entered the picture, dismissing the narrative that she was responsible for their strained relationship. The world had watched Harry and William grow up, often seeing them as inseparable. However, as Harry's book revealed, their lives had diverged significantly after their mother's death. Even when they attended the same school, their relationship was not as close as it appeared. William had once asked Harry to pretend they didn't know each other at school, a request that deeply hurt Harry at the time. Though both lost their mother, Prince Harry and Prince William coped with her death in very different ways. William tried to talk to Harry about their mother, but Harry, still a child, found it hard to engage. It wasn't that he didn't want to, he simply didn't know how to process his emotions or talk about them. He didn't realize that talking about it might help him heal. Harry recalled the night of August 31st, 1997, when he was just 12 years old and on summer holiday in Scotland with the family. His father, Prince Charles, woke him up to deliver the heartbreaking news of Princess Diana's death in a car accident in Paris. Shocked and unable to fully comprehend what had happened, Harry did not cry. He remembered that Charles didn't hug him. Showing emotion was not his strength, but he placed a hand on Harry's knee and reassured him that everything would be fine. Though in truth, it wouldn't be for a long time. Harry's memory of the days following Diana's death was hazy, but he vividly recalled greeting mourners outside Kensington Palace the day before the funeral. He described the experience as surreal, feeling guilty for smiling at the mourners, who showed more emotion than he and William. The tears of the mourners were wet on their hands, and the act of accepting flowers from the grieving crowd and placing them among other memorial items made Harry feel like a conduit for their sorrow. The funeral, held on a cool September morning, was estimated to have been watched by 2.5 billion people around the world. One of the most iconic moments was when Harry and William walked behind their mother's coffin to Westminster Abbey. Harry remembered the silence of that walk, broken only by the sound of horse hooves, reins jingling, the wheels of the hearse, and gravel underfoot. Only when Diana's coffin was lowered into the ground at the Spencer family estate in Althorpe did Harry cry for the first time since her death. During his teenage years, Harry found it hard to cry or fully accept that Diana was gone. He couldn't believe his mother would leave them like that, and even wondered if her death was part of a larger plan. For years, Harry clung to the hope that Diana had decided to disappear for a while and would one day come back, though she has been gone for more than 2 decades. Princess Diana has left behind a legacy far beyond royal titles. She was not only a fashion icon and devoted mother, but also a guiding light for the forgotten and marginalized. From holding hands with AIDS patients at a time when the world still stigmatized the disease, to leading campaigns to ban landmines, Diana set a new standard for compassion and social responsibility. She inspired a generation of women to live authentically, to love boldly, and to embrace their pain. And above all, she made people believe that even in the coldest palaces, there is still room for kindness and empathy. Today, every humanitarian act by Prince William or Harry bears the imprint of their mother. That legacy does not rest on a throne, but in the hearts of those who still speak of her with 2 words, the people's princess. If you too believe that truth and compassion deserve to be shared, please subscribe to the channel and join us on this journey to uncover the hidden corners behind the royal spotlight.